Hey everybody, Chad here from 25th Century Games, also here with Oliver. You guys know from a lot of our social posts, who apparently is very bored with this video idea. Let's take a look at the Stargazers regular edition cardboard tiles and wooden pieces versus their acrylic counterparts in a deluxe edition. I had some folks asking to get a little more kind of visual video insight into this. That's just kind of hard to show in the photos, which is a great idea. So putting this video together really quick to kind of show these off. One thing to keep in mind, these are prototype copies. So the cardboard versions are a digital print, so they're not an offset print, so it's not going to be as rich as the final cardboard version is going to be. Also, these tiles are only, I think, 1 millimeter thick, and the final version is going to be 2.5. So these won't look as dull as they do here in the prototype. Same thing goes for these wood versions that are in the regular edition. These are just UV printed. The final version is going to be a heat transfer film, so that'll be a lot richer looking art on that versus just basically the kind of like an inkjet printer on top of wood there, which is a little bit duller. But this will still give you an idea, really, just of what those acrylic tiles look like. So as was mentioned on the campaign page, these acrylic tiles and the tokens as well are all 8 millimeters, 8 millimeters, they're 5 millimeters deep, but they are 8 different layers of tiles with basically, it's a tile with 8 layers of acrylic and art in varying depths throughout the tile from top to bottom. What this does is it creates depth in the space background versus the art for the items that you're looking at in kind of a parallax type of motion where it's just static layers of art, but assembled together give you this depth. So let's see what I'm talking about here. Let's take a look at some of these tiles. So this is a satellite with a star connector point. And if you kind of get, let me see if I can get this to focus. What you can see here is behind that satellite, you'll see a little bit of a shadow casting from the light here in the office. This is because this satellite sits on that highest top layer which is really the second layer down right below, just a thin acrylic layer. That art sits up much higher than the space backdrop below it, versus the star, this connector point star, sits much lower in the acrylic layers, and so it kind of gives this depth shine to it, where it kind of just looks richer, deeper in there. And then you get the shadow effecting on the top. This is also, you can really see this. You can see this planet here. Where are you at? This planet tile, you can see a little bit of that shadow effect. That planet sits on the top versus the star on the bottom. Really, as well as this is a good example because you get this moon, the satellite moon, is set on a lower level than the planet itself that it's kind of coming up and rising behind. So it gives you a little bit of that shadow off the green planet there onto that moon, and creates that depth. Same thing here, you can kind of see the shadowing effect on the space, with that purple planet there. Again, another example of that depth, which, granted, again, this art's gonna be a little bit dull in these cardboard tiles, but you just don't really get a feel for like really what space kind of is this very infinitely deep environment. Having this parallax layer of acrylic tiles versus flat just really kind of makes that pop a lot more, and you just really feel that depth in that. So again, here you can see a little bit of the shadowing on the yellow planet. That comet also actually sits lower on this tile. In some tiles, the comment is actually much higher. That depends on the tile configuration. Sometimes the comment will be high, sometimes it'll be low. Same goes for the satellites and other objects. Really, it's just kind of tile by tile dependent. But this just gives you just a general, kind of look at how that parallax vibe is going to work. Again, keep in mind all that's prototype, so those cardboard tiles don't look nearly as good as they're going to. Let's take a peek at the hex tiles and the circle tiles here. These, again, wood here on the left, on the right, acrylic here on the left. These are both going to be 5mm in the two different versions. The difference here being a heat transfer wood versus that 8-layer acrylic. Again, UV print, the final version will be heat transfer, so it'll be a lot more robust. But you can see it's gonna be a little bit harder to do here on these smaller tiles, but you can see the difference in the depth here in that satellite. These yellow tracking kind of target markers sit, in this case, above that satellite. Same goes here with all of these. It does sit above, in this case with the comet lower. So much like on the star connectors on the tiles, you get this, it depends on when you get at depending on the angle you're looking at it, you can really see like it just looks thicker, even though it's just a single layer of art, because it sits deeper in that acrylic. So you get that effect that you just do not pick up in a flat file. Versus that. You can really see it, the shadowing in effect here on these little camera tiles with the nebulas. You can see how that camera, let's see if I can catch the light right, that camera's got a little bit of a shadow because it sits above that nebula. Then the nebula actually sits in a middle layer with the space background on a lower tier. So this gives you a good look at kind of how that is. You can kind of see when you look at them from the side, you can kind of catch glimpses of that art on different layers there. But when you look at it from straight up and down, it just really has a 3D effect going on. So I hope this kind of helps give you an idea of the variances between the two. As always, our games are both going to be very, very nice quality. We always kind of pride ourselves on that. No matter which direction you go, it's going to be a good choice. It's a fantastic game. And these components on the deluxe side is just an extra level to kind of enhance that up a little higher. But if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask either on the social post where you're seeing this video or the campaign page. Happy to answer any of those questions for you. And I appreciate you taking a look, and hopefully we can have your support for the campaign and help bring this beautiful production and this fantastic design from Don Riddle and JB to life. It's a fantastic tile laying game that I think a lot of people are really going to find a good abstract spatial puzzle, really brain burner type of game. So that's it for me and Oliver. Appreciate y'all watching, and talk to you soon.